What is going on, everybody? My name is Nico and welcome back to another Pokemon video. Today I'm finally going to talk about some stuff in regards to Pokemon Go. I talked about this briefly on my gaming podcast, Another Chat Gaming, and you can check that out. It'll be in the description below. I talked about this briefly with Rico, who I do the podcast with, and it's just there's so much going on with Pokemon Go right now, especially when you talk about the changes in regards to, you know, the COVID stuff and everything like that. So I want to kind of break this down and talk about both sides of the argument, because I understand both sides of this argument and why people are upset, but also why some of the changes were made, but I don't also agree with why the changes were made. So I want to talk about all these things today. But if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subbed for more Pokemon stuff in the future. Let's get into it. So for all of you that might have stepped away from Pokemon Go, or, you know, aren't up to date on some of the changes and stuff, maybe don't follow the game as heavily as others, there were changes that were added to Pokemon Go due to COVID, due to things, you know, like social distancing, you know, just trying to keep players safe. There were a ton of changes added. The thing with these changes is that these changes actually made the game a lot better. They added a lot of quality of life stuff for a lot of different groups of people that were playing Pokemon Go, and just made the overall experience better while playing the game. Now, recently, Niantic, I think it was a couple months ago, they announced that they would be rolling back some of these changes, and the effects just went into effect, I think, like a week ago. And there is some serious backlash in terms of the removal of these, you know, specific features. And I'm going to cover all this here in a second. And I see why they wanted to change this in the game. I see it, but I also don't understand it all at the same time. So I'm going to talk about both sides of the argument and kind of break this down bit by bit. But first, I want to bring up this Polygon article and talk about the changes that have been made. So I've got this article here. Pokemon Go is changing again in response to the pandemic. So here are the things that were added due to the pandemic. So during the pandemic, incense effectiveness was boosted to attract Pokemon more frequently to players' locations. It will soon revert to its original level of attraction when players are stationary, but will have increased effectiveness while players are moving, Niantic says. Players could also reach Pokestops and gyms from farther away during the pandemic, but Niantic has plans to revert changes to that too. This has gone into effect. The developer said that the distance may be increased during future events and certain features. Niantic also plans to decrease the number of gifts that a buddy Pokemon deliver to players. It is currently boosted so that players get up to 5 gifts at once, up to 3 times per day, but players will soon see a reduced frequency. So all of that has gone into effect. Here are some of the new bonuses. Players will soon receive up to 2 free raid passes per day from spinning gym photo discs, benefit from increased incense effectiveness while moving, be guaranteed gifts when spinning Pokestops so long as they've not reached their maximum gift inventory, and receive 10-time bonus XP from spinning a Pokestop for the first time. Also, some of these bonuses didn't get removed. There are still some stuff. So instance duration will remain at 60 minutes. No walking requirement for Go Battle League. You can challenge any trainer remotely with QR code, and requirement to battle with friends remotely has been lowered. The maximum number of gifts you can carry in your item bag will remain at 20, and trainers will be able to open 30 gifts per day, up from previous 20, and you will continue to receive 3 times the Stardust and XP for your first Pokemon catch of the day. So not all of the stuff that was added due to the pandemic has been removed. They're just changing some of these aspects. So I want to talk about both sides of this argument, because the big thing that people were really upset about was the decrease in distance from the gyms and the Pokestops. They decreased it back to the original distance. I think it was like 40 meters that you were able to access Pokestops in gyms. It was 80. They doubled it during the pandemic, so, you know, you could social distance properly and everything like that, and it has been reverted. And this is the thing that a lot of people are very, very upset about. I'm sure you could find, you know, people that are upset about the other stuff, but this is the big one you see a lot of outcry about, especially in terms of content creators that are making videos over this stuff, and they're basically saying that this is stupid and they don't agree with why it's been changed back. So on the one hand, I understand. I'm not going to say I agree with it. I understand it, because when I think about Pokemon Go, I think about going out in the real world and catching Pokemon. That's like the whole premise of the game. It's a blast. It's so much fun. Some of my fondest memories, you know, when the game came out, was grouping up with my friends and going out and catching stuff that we all didn't have, and just walking around town and spinning stops. That was awesome. And then when they introduced raids, grouping up with people in my hometown and doing raids was super, super fun. So I totally get the appeal of there being, you know, this draw to go outside and do things with a group of people while playing this game. I totally get that, and I totally understand that that was the vision for this game. However, there are groups of people that are just going to be affected by that. You know, there's handicapped people that might be in wheelchairs that won't get to play the game as effectively due to these changes. Or there could be, you know, the people that are still concerned about COVID, because we are still in that state of the world where they are still being, there's still concerns about COVID. So there are people, you know, whether or not you agree with vaccinations, that may not have been vaccinated for their own beliefs, or may not have been vaccinated for, you know, immunosuppressed reasons. There's a bunch of things that could have prevented people from getting the vaccine, and that could stop certain groups of players from going out and actually being able to partake in some of this stuff. So I understand on the one side of things that, you know, there is a reason to have these things that motivate people to go out and play the game in person. However, there were also a lot of reasons to keep things the same, especially when, for, I would say, the general population, these changes really were beneficial. They helped a lot of people out. And I disagree with how they went about removing it. They said they were going to remove stuff like, you know, the distance to Pokestops and gyms, and then they just did it. I don't understand why they would go and change stuff that made the game, from a general consensus, much better, rather than taking something such as, you know, a bonus for walking, you know, giving more reasons to go out and walk while continuing the current bonuses that they already had for the COVID stuff. And what I mean by this is, rather than, you know, take away everything that certain people really enjoyed and basically telling an entire player base that the way they play the game is wrong, rather than doing that, they just add additional motivators that get people to actually go out and play the game by walking and doing things like that. So there are two separate ways you could go about playing this game. That would have been a whole lot better way to handle the situation if you wanted to get people out and play this game the way you envision. Simply give them more of a reason to, but don't punish the people that maybe can't or don't want to go out and do that sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's a balancing act, and they really missed it on this one. They really missed the mark. And I understood it to a point. I understood, you know, when they announced that these changes were going to be reverted, I understood, because at the time the world was returning to a somewhat normal state. And obviously they wanted to kind of get back to the way that things were. And for 4 years, that is how the game was. It didn't really affect me then. It is nice having these changes now, and now that they're taking them away, it sucks, but it wasn't something that was going to stop me from playing the game ultimately. However, the fact of the matter is that when they announced these changes were going to be removed, the world was in a different place, and now here we are in August, and things are definitely taking a turn. They are not the same as they were when they announced that these changes were going to be removed. The world is getting into a scary place again in terms of the COVID situation, with the Delta variant going around. And whether or not you agree with all this, that's not the point of this video. The fact of the matter is that there are going to be changes due to this Delta variant, and changing these changes that were made for the pandemic and the pandemic situations that could potentially need to be in place again just doesn't make sense. It really shows just the absolute tone deafness of Niantic in this situation, where they a couple months ago said they were looking out for us in our best interest, and now here we are where our best interests were changed, but it was on their, you know, their set date that our best interest didn't align with what they had planned for the game. And instead of, you know, just taking that out and going, you know, we're not going to end up doing this, we're going to keep these changes because of the current state of the world, it just shows that they really aren't paying that much attention to what is going on. And it goes against a lot of their statements along the way over the last couple months on, you know, what this game is about and what their, you know, beliefs are as a company. And it's really frustrating as someone who really likes Pokemon Go and really, like, I play it every freaking day. Someone who really likes this game, it's just frustrating to see this. And I understand completely why people are upset with these changes when you look at the broad picture and look at everything going on around this game. The world is not in a place where these changes needed to be removed. I could understand if we actually did go back to normal, but the fact of the matter is we're not. It took a huge turn. It took a huge turn from when they announced it to now. There is a good possibility that the world goes back into a lockdown, and that could affect this game again. So I just don't understand why they decided that these changes had to happen. Why didn't they just pull the plug on it? Now, obviously, I'm not a game developer. I don't understand all the ins and outs of the coding and all that crap on how to implement these sort of things or remove these sort of things from the game. but it's just kind of silly to me. Now, for me personally, it's not going to stop me from playing Pokemon Go, because I think ultimately these changes will return the further we get into this year. I don't think it's going to stick around long. I feel there's going to be enough uproar, and there's going to be just enough real life stuff that's going to add these changes back to the game. But even if they didn't add these things back to the game, you know, like the distance, like the incense stuff, I would still play the game. I've played the game before without these changes. I'm going to continue playing the game moving forward if they add them back or not. It doesn't matter to me, because I like the game. Now, if you decide to boycott the game, I completely understand. I really do. Because, you know, they changed something that just basically was a slap in the face and told you that the way you play Pokemon Go is wrong. And I disagree with that stance that they have and their reasoning for taking it out of the game. And I 100%, you know, it's justified that you are all upset in that regard. However, I have seen some people going on Twitter and stuff and just, you know, being kind of ridiculous about it and taking it a level too far. Don't do that, okay? You can voice your opinion in a respectful manner, or like in a video format like this, but going after, you know, certain developers and things of that nature, that's not going to get your point across, and it's actually just going to kind of make your argument null and void, because people are just going to say, you know, you're crazy, or you're going nuts on social media. You're not getting a well voiced opinion out there by just attacking people. But that's my thoughts on the subject. I just kind of wanted to talk about it. You are more than welcome to leave your thoughts on the situation in the comments below. As always, as I say in any of these kind of talking point videos, if you are a dick in the comments, I'm going to remove your comment. That's just how it works. So you are more than welcome to leave a comment, have a conversation on this particular matter. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you found it entertaining. Hopefully, if you did, leave a like and smash that subscribe button for more Pokemon stuff in the future. Be sure to check out Enter the Chat, all my social medias, my stream, everything like that. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.